And I met a guy named Pete at Starbucks. And he was a super friendly guy. And we just started a conversation. I found out within a few minutes he was a plumber, but he had his shirt tucked in. That's just a joke. And he found out that I was a pastor. And the first thing he said when he found out I was a pastor was, he said, "Oh, everything I know about the Bible I learned from the movies." I thought, you don't know anything about the Bible if everything you learn from the Bible is from the movies. And so I thought, I got him where I want him. And so he allowed me to come and teach him a Bible study. But it started because I had a there you are. I wasn't there, just wanting to get my, chai tea grande chai tea. No, I went in there to talk to somebody. I don't even drink coffee. Okay, I can't drink caffeine. It messes with my blood pressure. But it was in a season where that was my spot. Now I'm going to Panera because the pastry is better at Panera than Starbucks. And there's no calories because I'm there to make disciples. And so I start teaching Pete and his wife Ella and his two children, Lauren and Cody, and his sister Nancy and her husband Rick, Bible study. I started the Bible study in the month of April. Around November, they hadn't come to church because I hadn't invited them. And I don't invite people to church. If you want to invite them to church, go ahead, that's fine. But I want to build a relationship in their house, my house, at Starbucks, on the golf course. Oh, yes. I've made disciples from the golf course. The golf course is holy ground. 18 holy. Let me tell you what my strategy was. When I first came, I'll get back to Pete in just a minute. Don't let me forget Pete, Daniel. So when I came to our church, our first Sunday we had 89, and there were 10 women whose husbands were either backslid or never been saved. And there was one lady. Wait a minute. So I decided in prayer that I was going to disciple every one of their husbands. And I've been there now 30 years. And God has helped me to disciple 8 of the 10. And I haven't given up on the last 2. One of them, I went to him when he had a stroke and almost died. And he would never come to church. I asked him, I said, you don't want to go see Jesus without being baptized. Can I teach you a Bible study? And he said no. So I guess it's going to take a heart attack or something else because he's not ready yet. But anyway, 8 of the 10. But one of those guys I really went after because his wife was driving me crazy. You think I'm kidding? I'm serious. I mean, get the picture. It's Sunday morning. I get up at 4:30 on Sunday morning so I can be at the church by 5:30 so I can have an hour for prayer. And then I taught leadership from 8 to 9:30, 2 out of 4 Sundays, and I did that for 12 years. And so then we go to lunch. We come back to the church at 4:30, and we have a service at 6 o'clock. And at 10 p.m., this woman is still talking to me. I'm like, well, it's been sort of a long day today. Started at 4:30 this morning. And then, Pastor, I just wanted to let you know that. And so I'm like, I got to disciple her husband or I'm going to go insane. Because after church Sunday night, he's going to say, hey, it's time to leave the pastor alone. Let's go home. We've been here all day. And so that was my strategy. I wasn't discipling him to take him to heaven. I'm discipling him to take his wife out of my hair. How's that for being real? No, actually, it was amazing. Amazing story. And I won't tell you about his conversion because I got to get back to Pete. But anyway, so I discipled him. I asked him to go play golf with me. I said, do you play golf? He says, yes, I play golf. So we start having a discussion on the golf course, and it sanctified the golf course. And I'm so thankful for that. So I'm teaching Pete and 5 other people. Every Thursday night, I'm teaching them a Bible study and building the relationship. And Pete and I go to lunch, and he's a plumber, so he comes and does some work at the church. And they're starting to come to church. And so when he asked me, where is your church? I told him where it was. He said, what kind of a church is it? Now I've been with him 6 months. I said, it's Pentecostal. He said, I've never been to a Pentecostal church before. What should we expect? I don't know why I said it. It just flew out of my mouth. I said, wear your crash helmet. They went, what do you mean? I said, come and see. So they come to church. That was on a Thursday. They come on Sunday. And we were having church. You know, it's one of those services when you have guests there, you hope people that act crazy don't act crazy. And it was, in America, we say, Katie bar the door. That means, it was all going on. It was all happening. People are shouting, people are running, people are dancing. And I sort of snuck a look back at my 6 guests that were back there. They looked like they were at the Wimbledon tennis match. They're going. I'm thinking, oh, Lord. These people will never let me teach them another Bible study. They think we're totally nuts. So I didn't get a chance to talk to them after church. So I show up at the house on Thursday. And I knock on the door, and usually someone would be right there. Come on in, Pastor. Nobody answered the door. I thought, that's what I thought. I turn around and I start going to my car. I thought, I'll call them tomorrow. And I hear, come in, Pastor, the door's open. I'm like, okay. So I open the door and I walk down the hallway and I'm getting ready to turn the corner into the little kitchen area where we have the Bible study. And when I turn the corner, they're all sitting there like ready to do something. And Pete says, now! And they all reach under their chair and they pull out bicycle helmets and they strap them on. I wish I'd have had a picture of that. And it was their way of saying, we got it, Pastor, we got it. We loved it. We loved it. And the good news is, there's no bad news. The good news is that I was blessed to be able to baptize all of those people in the name of the Lord Jesus. And we thank God. Pete actually became our top, not a preacher, but our top man in our church in just a short period of time, and was on our board of directors. And he contacted pancreatic cancer. That's 2 words you never want to hear together. And he went to be with the Lord in November. But he also made disciples. And so I'm thankful for that. So anyway, find your spot. A donut shop, Starbucks, a lunch place. If you're cheap, find somewhere where you don't have to spend money. Like the corner downtown when people are commuting to work. Find a spot. There's lots of places to make disciples, okay? So have a there you are spirit. Secondly, I put this question here, where is Titus? Look at 2 Corinthians 2:13. Paul said, now keep in mind, Paul was the consummate disciple maker. I told you yesterday that he had 17 young men that he had discipled at one time or another, and then in his discipleship tree, another 30 names, okay, that we can find in the scripture. He said, I had no rest in my spirit because I found not Titus my brother. All right, that's all I want from that verse. Now, maybe I'm taking this literally out of context, but just reading that, it speaks to me because I'm reading the Bible with the DiscipleMaker's lens, and there is the heart of a father-son discipleship relationship in this statement, so it's really not out of context. He said, I looked for Titus, and I could not find him. I had no rest in my spirit. I could not find Titus. Now, let me ask you a question. This is a deep theological question. How many of you every Sunday sit in your assigned seat? Assigned. That means you sit in the same seat every Sunday. Raise your hand. This is unusual. If I ask that question, do I need to ask that better, Pastor Tim? Huh? Okay, everybody got it. So some of you, I'm proud of you, you don't sit in the same spot because you're messing up your pastor. Pastors want everybody to sit in the same spot every Sunday. That's how they take attendance later that day. Telling you my secrets. And so that was a facetious theological question, but here is the serious theological question. Do you pay attention to the 20-foot radius where you work, where you sit in church? That visitor that came last Sunday, did he or she come back this Sunday? Did you notice? And if you didn't notice, why didn't you notice that they were not there? I'll tell you why, because you don't have a there you are attitude yet. You were so focused on your comfort zone, focused about your friends and me and mine and my little world. You see, we don't have to go across the ocean to make disciples. We don't have to go across the nation to make disciples. We don't have to even go across the street to make disciples. It would be good if we did, but we don't have to. Some of us just need to get up on Sunday and go across the aisle. Because when guests come to our church, they're sending a message to us. When you go to a restaurant and the server says, "May I help you?" do you go, "No, you don't do that. She knows why you're there, and you know why you're there. That's understood." You don't say, "Well, I'm here to eat food." No, that's redundant. She knows why you're there, and you know why you're there. So when people come to church, their spirit is saying, "I'm hungry. I need God. I need a change in my life. I've got pain, and I'm ready to change because the pain to change is going to be less than the pain to stay the way I am." And that's when people change. People change when the pain to change is less pain than the pain to stay the way they are. And so when people come and we don't notice that they're there, sometimes I ask my staff members, "Did you notice the guy that sat in section 2, the third row, right in the middle, and I'll describe him to the T?" And they're like, "No." Well, I did. I got a lot of things I got to do on Sunday, but I noticed the guy. We have to have a there you are spirit, and we have to have a place where we can connect with people. And when people aren't there, Paul said, "I had no rest in my spirit because I could not find Titus." So let me apply that on Sunday morning. If you had a guest last Sunday and they sat 2 rows behind you over your left shoulder and they're not there again this Sunday, whose job is it to have no rest in their spirit because they couldn't find Titus. Whose job is it? Well, that's the pastor's job. Really? Well, that's the full-time staff's job. Is it really? Why isn't it your job? Now, I know this is sort of hard-hitting, but when people come to our church, we have a responsibility to connect with them. We have a responsibility to walk across the aisle and shake their hand and engage them in a conversation. And what about inviting them out to lunch today? Everybody all right? So, disciple makers have a "where is Titus" attitude. It's my job to follow up. It's my job to get that guy's phone number. It's my job to meet him out of church somewhere and embrace a relationship. And the third is the Ananias model, which Dr. Little's already handled, and so I'm not going to address that tonight. So let's go to point number 3. Disciple makers make friends with sinners. So this is not a trick question. How many of you have a friend? 87%. So what's wrong with the rest of you? You don't take showers? You don't brush your teeth? You don't use deodorant? What does it take to make a friend? How do you make a friend? Be friendly, that's what the Bible says. What else? Smile, excellent. You have a good one too. All right, what else? Be kind, excellent. Yeah, communicate, express. Can I tell you something? You are boring. They don't want to hear about you. Yeah, I did this and I wrote that and I swam here and I walked here and I passed this and I went over there and me. That's boring to people. Me. Get your cameras out, me. Me. That's boring. The most boring person you'll ever talk. Billy Graham said the smallest package you'll ever see is a man all wrapped up in himself. And we have to make it about others. Everybody say others. That's what Jesus did. He always made it about others. And so, where was I? Jet lag kicked in. Oh, yeah. So, we have friend. Everybody has a friend. I was just teasing. It's 100%. Everybody has a friend. And we're deciding what it takes to make a friend. You know, we said to be kind, to be friendly, to have conversation. Don't make it all about you. Make it all about them. Ask them questions. People like to talk about themselves. They like to talk about themselves. Make it all about them. Find out as much as you can. Be curious. Be interested in other people. So here's the Jesus method. It's so simple. It's embarrassing. It's so simple. Matthew 11:19. Look at it. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, behold, a man gluttonous and a winebibber, a friend of who? Publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of her children. In other words, look at the fruit. So Jesus, the Holy One, Jesus, the righteous one, was a friend of publicans and sinners. So what Jesus did was, he turned sinners into friends. And then he turned friends into disciples. Turn to somebody and say, that's brilliant. It's so simple, it's brilliant. It's right there. Everybody say, sinners into friends. Say, friends into disciples. That's how it works. We build relationships with sinners. I'm going to ask for another show of hands. How many of you have a friend in the church? 62%. It went way down. Just kidding. All right, one more time. How many of you have a friend who is a sinner? They're lost. They've never obeyed the gospel. Now look around. This is the predictor of the future of the church. Keep your hand up. Keep it up. We are predicting the future of our church right now. This is so exciting. This is the unseen church of our city because we have a friend. Let me even make it more exciting than that. Who's a pastor over right in here? Who is a pastor? 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 How many people come to your church for average on Sunday right now? 15. 15? Okay. You have 15 people. You think you only have 15 people. Can someone multiply? Oh, I think I know what it is. Is 15 times 20, is it 300? So, you don't really have a church of 15 because all of those 15 people know 20 people that are sinners. But if we can turn sinners into friends, then we can make friends into disciples. You really have a church of 300. It's really true. You have to be a dial tone to not know 20 people. Everybody knows 20 people. Everybody okay? Is it all right to have fun once in a while? Okay. All right, so let's follow the Jesus pattern that is so simple. But find your well, find your donut shop, find your Starbucks, find your Panera Bread, find your Burger King, and go there a lot. Right now I'm going to Panera on Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. every Sunday. Except this Sunday I'll be here in Singapore. And so I've been going there for about 2 years. And I don't believe in any quick fix stuff. I'm like a long-term marathon guy. I'm not a sprinter. I'm a marathon guy. And so it took me a year to start having conversations with one couple. I noticed them. Just started smiling, walking by. How are you? How are you? Good to see you. Hey, I saw you last week. Yeah, we saw you. Great. And so I pull in one Sunday morning, and I notice their car's not there. See, I notice things. I know their car. I don't know their license plate, but I know what kind of car they drive. He probably knows mine too. And so I pull in, the car's not there, and I walk in, and they're sitting in Panera. I'm thinking, how did they get here? Their car's not here. I said, where's your car? He said, oh, that's our truck. And so I turned around, and it said KC Constructors. I live in Kansas City. So Kansas City, KC Constructors. So I thought, I'm going to stalk him on the internet. I'm going to stalk him. And so I researched him, and I found out he is a former player in the NFL for the Kansas City Chiefs. And why wouldn't he be? He's 3 times my size. He's like huge. He played for the Chiefs back in the 80s. And this makes sense because the Lord told me about 25 years ago that he would give me a voice with professional athletes. And I don't even have time to tell you some of that journey. But I wasn't surprised because here, find out that he's a former member of the NFL. So I come in that Sunday, and I said, you've been holding out on me. I said, what do you mean? I said, you never told me that you were a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. He said, oh, I'm just a regular guy. He said, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you. And I like that about that guy. Just a common old. And so he says to me, my wife thinks you're a pastor. I said, oh, she's very perceptive. But I mean, every Sunday it's a white shirt and a necktie, you know. Not exactly a genius, but perceptive. I said, well, how would she know that? He said, well, she's been walking by your computer when she's going to get more coffee, and she noticed that you're going over your sermon for today. I said, uh-huh. So the next Sunday I come in, and they stalked me. I guess they Googled me or something. And there's a few videos, sermons and out there and so on. He says, you're apostolic. I didn't even know he knew what the word meant, had any understanding of it. And we haven't even got to even have that discussion yet. But within about 3 weeks after that occurrence, he and I were sitting down at lunch at my favorite barbecue place called Fiorella's Jack Stack. And so we had a great visit and a great connect. And that's sort of where it's at right now. But it's taken 2 years to build a relationship. So be intentional. Have sinners as friends and turn friends into disciples.